Hello everyone, welcome to the channel Love and Tears. Today I will tell you a special story. A seemingly peaceful summer, but it contains unexpected emotions. A young girl, Evelyn, and her two best friends, Marcus and Adrian, are stuck in the same house while her parents are away. At first, everything is just silence-long, boring days. But then between the laughter, the games, and the inexplicable looks, a secret begins to form. The friendship gradually turns into something else. Something more dangerous, more intense, and more fragile than ever. Will Evelyn choose Marcus's gentleness and warmth, or be swept away by the crazy storm called Adrian? Come join me in the story. And if you love emotional journeys like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel Love and Tears so we can meet again in other touching stories. That summer, I could not have imagined that the seemingly boring days would turn into a memory I would never forget. The house on the outskirts of town, where my parents usually went on their anniversary vacations, was empty this time. They were away on vacation, leaving me and my two best friends, Adrian and Marcus, a whole space to ourselves. Adrian, 23, was the type of person who was always confident, charismatic, and effortlessly made everything revolve around him. Marcus was different. He was only 18, calm, quiet, often buried in old books, his eyes so gentle that sometimes people could not guess. As for me, Evelyn, 21, I often felt like I was standing in the middle of their two extremes, like a bridge keeping balance. The first days passed quite quietly. Adrian was glued to his phone all day, while Marcus remained loyal to his thick novels. I wandered around the house trying to dispel the boredom. But by the fourth day, the silence had become an invisible pressure. That evening, as we sat around the dining table with only the cold Chinese food left, Adrian put down his chopsticks and said, "This house is so quiet. It's scary. We have to do something." Marcus looked up from his book and smiled faintly. "You mean a party?" Adrian shrugged, flashing his usual smile. "No, I think we need to bond." How long has it been since the three of us actually sat down together? That sentence, which at first sounded like a random remark, carried a strange sincerity in his voice. I looked at Marcus, who seemed as hesitant as I did, but in the end, I agreed. "Okay, go to the living room, whatever." We chose an old action movie that Adrian insisted on playing. The movie was so bad, it was ridiculous, making the three of us laugh non-stop. Laughter cleared the heavy air, replaced by a strange comfort. But when the screen turned off, I realized something was different. Not the laughter, nor the teasing. It was the eyes, the glances that lingered longer than necessary. An accidental touch on the arm or a pause in the conversation. I told myself that it was just because we had been locked in the house for so long. But as time went on, the silence brought with it a rapid beat in my chest. That night, when I went up to my room, I kept looking down the stairs. Adrian and Marcus sat in the dim yellow light, chatting with unreadable smiles. I walked into the room, but my heart could not calm down. I knew something had changed, and there was no way to turn back. The next day, I tried to do housework to forget that feeling. But then, Adrian walked into the kitchen, leaned over, and smiled. "Tonight, let's do something a little more fun. You're always so serious." I asked again. "More fun. What do you mean?" He didn't answer right away. but just gave me a meaningful look. Let's try a game. All three of us can join in. Okay? Marcus walked in at that moment, put down his book, his eyes unusually bright. He added, I want to try too. Maybe it'll be more fun than we think. For some reason, my chest tightened. There was something in their voices, in their eyes, that made me feel that from this moment on, that summer would no longer be peaceful. That night, we sat together in the living room. Adrian introduced a game he called Truth or Dare, a childish game, but under the yellow light and the quiet space, it seemed like a ritual to open another door. Adrian smiled mysteriously. No backing out. Whoever chooses truth must answer truthfully, and whoever chooses dare cannot back out. Agreed. Marcus hesitated, then nodded slightly. I looked at both of them, a little shaken, but forced myself to smile. Okay, let's begin. Adrian's questions were innocent at first. Silly memories, embarrassing teenage things. We laughed, but I realized something was changing. The glances lingered longer than usual. The questions began to dig deeper, touching the silences we usually avoided. Then it was Marcus's turn. He looked at me unblinking and asked Evelyn, if you had a secret that you couldn't tell anyone, would you keep it to yourself forever, or would you share it with the person you trusted the most? I was stunned. The question wasn't a joke. It was like a door suddenly opened in my mind, revealing things I had never dared to think about. I replied softly, almost in a whisper. Maybe I would share, but only with someone I trusted enough to not fear judgment. Marcus didn't say anything more, just smiled faintly, and his eyes sparkled under the lamplight, as if he had been waiting for that answer for a long time. The atmosphere in the room was heavy, but also full of attraction. Then Adrian broke the silence with a challenge Evelyn dared. I dare you to close your eyes and let the person sitting next to you whisper a secret into your ear. You can't tell anyone. I was momentarily confused, but I did as he said. I closed my eyes, and a few seconds later, I felt Marcus's breath against my ear. He whispered, his voice trembling. There are things I've kept secret, but every time I look at you, I'm afraid you'll find out. My skin shivered. I opened my eyes, but Marcus was sitting up straight, his face cold as if nothing had happened. Adrian looked at us, his eyes sparkling with an unreadable light, both curious and hiding something bigger. The night passed, but I couldn't sleep. I kept remembering the feeling when I heard Marcus's words and Adrian's gaze that seemed to penetrate my soul. Something was wrong. The next day, when the sunlight streamed through the window, I went down to the kitchen and saw Adrian standing there, a cup of coffee in his hand. He looked at me, his usual smile gone, replaced by a rare seriousness. Have you noticed, Evelyn? This house seems to be keeping some secret. And so do we. Before I could reply, Marcus walked in and quietly placed an old notebook on the table. I glanced at it. The leather cover was frayed, the clasp broken. He said softly, his voice low, maybe it's time you knew everything. Marcus put the old notebook down on the table, but didn't open it. He looked at me, his eyes both gentle and heavy. Evelyn, there are things I've kept inside for too long, and I'm afraid if I say them, things will never be the same. I was speechless. My heart pounded because I knew he wasn't talking about the notebook. Adrian curled his lips, stepped closer. His voice low but clear. Have you noticed Marcus keeps quiet and I always hide my smile behind jokes? But neither of us are as carefree as you think. The atmosphere seemed to freeze. I swallowed, trying to find an answer, but my voice trembled. What are you implying? Marcus bowed his head. His hands clenched the notebook until they turned white. I've liked you for a long time, Evelyn. Every time we were together, I had to pretend that it was just friendship. But I can't do that anymore. Before I could react, Adrian chuckled softly, a smile that no longer had any hint of joking. Marcus dared to say it. As for me, I never said it, but that doesn't mean I didn't feel it. I know you saw it. In my eyes, in every touch. My chest tightened. Both of them looked at me, their eyes contrasting but similar in one point, both intense and sincere. I felt like I was caught in a storm, wanting to run away, but unable to break free. I took a deep breath, but my voice was still broken. This will ruin everything. The friendship, this summer, us. Adrian took a step forward, his voice even no Evelyn. It will only ruin you if you choose to ignore your feelings. Marcus looked at me, his eyes seeming to drown me in a gentle but anxious silence. You don't have to decide now. Just let us know that you feel something too. The room fell silent. I looked at Marcus. His warm eyes made my heart melt. Then I turned to Adrian. His intense gaze made me breathless. In that moment, I realized the summer friendship was long gone. Only a romantic secret, fragile and dangerous, remained, waiting for me to choose. The room was so quiet that I could hear my own heartbeat. Marcus and Adrian were only a few steps apart, but that distance seemed to contain a world of opposites. One was gentle, patient. One was strong, explosive. Both were looking at me. Evelyn, Marcus spoke first. His voice trembled slightly, but his eyes were firm. I don't expect you to choose right now. Just know that everything I have for you is real. If one day you're ready, I'll be here waiting. I saw his hand tremble slightly, but it was strangely warm. Adrian was different. He walked straight forward, standing right in front of me, his eyes burning as if he wanted to burn the distance. I'm not like Marcus. I'm not good at waiting. When I want something, I'll go all the way. And Evelyn, I want you, not tomorrow, not someday. But now I choked. My chest tightened between two opposing emotions. One was safety, gentleness, the promise that it would always be there. The other was a burst of intense desire, as if I didn't take it, I would lose the opportunity forever. I took a step back, my voice hoarse. You're pushing me into a crossroads I'm not prepared for. I don't know where I should go. Marcus, Adrian, you two are important to me in different ways. Marcus lowered his head, whispering softly, I don't need you to promise. I just want you to know that even if you choose someone else, I will not leave you. Adrian raised his hand to lift my chin, forcing me to look straight at him. But I'm different. I want you to see through your heart right now. Don't hide, Evelyn. Emotions don't wait for anyone. I closed my eyes. In that darkness, I could clearly feel Adrian's warm breath nearby and Marcus's gentle gaze still waiting behind. Both worlds pulled me in two directions. My heart was pounding and I knew this summer would never be peaceful again. I stood there, my heart torn in two. On one side was Marcus, gentle, warm, who could become a peaceful harbor for the rest of my life. On the other side was Adrian, passionate, intense, like a storm that swept me into an inescapable vortex. I knew that no matter who I chose, I would lose something precious. And if I didn't choose, I could lose both. Marcus looked at me, his eyes shining, but filled with silent hope. Adrian moved closer, his eyes burning, determined, as if he wanted to hold me in this moment. I took a deep breath, but then smiled slightly. Maybe. My heart needs more time. I don't want to answer today. Let this summer say it all. Both of them were silent. Marcus nodded slightly, accepting the weight. Adrian frowned, but then held back a half smile. Outside, the summer wind gently shook the curtains. I looked out at the golden sky, my heart filled with fear and excitement. I didn't know who I would choose, nor where the road ahead would lead. But one thing was certain: this summer would change me forever. And that's how that summer ended, with emotions that had yet to be named. Evelyn stood between two hearts, one gentle, one intense, but the answer was still open. Perhaps only time will tell us where she will go. What about you? If you were Evelyn, would you choose Marcus, the gentle and patient one, or Adrian, the passionate and intense one? Leave your thoughts in the comments section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel Love and Tears so you don't miss the next stories. Stories that can make your heart flutter and sometimes make you think long after the video ends.